Hi guys, so we are on the third video, which is the third step towards creating this turnaround, and I must say this is probably the most challenging and yet exciting part, because this is when you'll see your character actually come alive. At the moment it looks pretty silly, it looks like a Lego sort of character where you can't really tell what's what. Very basic, very simple. This is where we're going to start building the details on it, and depending on your obviously your design brief, you will have a bit of an idea of, what clothes, what armory, what will this person look like. So I'm just going to build just a simple male character with cargo pants and long sleeve t-shirt or shirt and a vest. So start with basics, right? So I'm going to build a new layer. So click on new layer, and I'm going to name this my line work. Some of you who are very organized or very keen on getting things the right way. Oh my goodness. Line work. I can't spell. That's good enough. If you're a bit obsessive compulsive, you might want to make another layer on top where you will do a final clean line. It's not required for this project, but it will make it better. So it is your choice, you are allowed to do it. Before I do that, things are getting a bit crowded here. I can see a lot of lines, a lot of shapes going on. I'm going to select these two layers and make it less opaque so we can see better. So to do that, I'll press Shift to select both of these. I'm going to go to opacity up here and turn it down until I can only barely see them both, but I can still see them, so that I still have that guideline. So I think that's good enough. I'm going to go back to my line work, and this is where I guess your creative skills will be most needed, because we'll start building things. And this is also when you can, if you go to week 8 resources folder, you'll see that I have put in a lot of muscle references or face detail references, different body parts references that you can look at while doing this, so you get an accurate, realistic shapes for each of the body parts. Alright, so go to brush, make sure you're on the right layer, zoom in. I'm going to start with a face. You don't have to start here, but I personally find it easier to start with the face. So I'm going to change this into dark gray or brown, again to make it different, but make sure it's a dark color. Don't choose bright pink or red. It has to be either dark brown or dark gray. B, and as you can see, that brush is way too big. Now some people, I know that I've been taking you through the soft brush and the hard brush. Some people at this point might like to experiment with things like the calligraphy brush, which you can find down here. And I personally like them because they have very thin, almost ninja lines, I like to call them, because they slash across in a very natural way, and it suits my style. You don't have to. Again, it's just about you exploring your own comfort and your style, but this is my brush of choice when drawing neat and defined lines. So you can go as detailed as you want on this. Now we can see that there is that eye line over there, so it's very simple. You can start adding there. Now by now you are going with your design brief on this, so you have a very good idea of what you want to achieve with this character. Now face obviously is not very important because you're going to put your own face on this, but some of you might choose to make a brand new face, which is why this is important. So half a lip would look just like that. It's a bit like a female right now, it's supposed to be male. We'll see what happens, eh? And ears. Now I'm not going to draw the hair yet because hair is very asymmetrical generally. So you probably will do that last because you don't want to make the hair look too robotic. unless you're doing a robot, of course. Okay, so this is my male head. Now this is a tricky bit, getting the proportion for the shoulder. Now if you look at my what do you call it, muscle references, you'll know that there's this big sternocleidomastoid, so that's what it's called, this huge muscle going down here, which will sort of end up here where your clavicle is. So you don't have to really learn all that, but know that there's one that goes here, so it's good to suggest that. And over here, between this arm and this shoulder, there's a big muscle called the deltoid. So if you're doing a male, sometimes it's good to suggest that or exaggerate that. Just start like that. And another one that will start here, which is your trapezius, the biggest muscle in the body and holds everything together, or runs right down your back. It's shaped like a kite. Just gonna stop there. So this stop there, and I'm gonna start to actually suggest where the chest is going to be. So to do that, I'm just gonna do this, and this is where you can start following the cube underneath. I'm just gonna hug that shape and go down. So if you're doing a character that's, let's say, a Spartan, and you have the top of the body unclothed or having just ropes, or it's good to look at that muscle reference again, so that this part doesn't become too intimidating for you. But generally, it's not necessary, especially if you're, let's say, doing a robot character, then you won't do this at all. You can start building the shapes of the armor or the metal bits that goes with it right away. So if you notice there's a little hand icon coming up, that's just me pressing H for hand, and it's handy to pan across if you want to see a bit closer. Okay, so continue down. Now I'm gonna stop here and actually clothe this character. So like I said, I'm gonna make him wear a vest of some sort. So a vest that would wrap around here. Go like that. And you can see how having that three-dimensionality helped me, that box, helped me create bit of a shape. And it's always good to actually move out a bit, especially when you're building clothing. Show that you're actually drawing outside of that outline to give depth and volume. So now it looks like it's wrapping around. Now I'm gonna draw him with a bit more voluminous sleeve, arm sleeve. So I know that there's a cylindrical shape underneath, so now when I make the creases for the clothing, I can follow that cylinder like that. And it's gonna be my fold, which again I'm following the cylindrical shape, and it's one of those old school long sleeve that gets tucked in like that. Now it looks a bit see-through right now, which is fine because you can then just erase it. So like I said, if you are OCD, a bit OCD in that way, you can just make one layer specifically for muscle definition and then make another layer on top where you will draw the clothes. Any is fine by me. I just need to see a very good line work on top after. So this is that. And remember, you want this last line to be very detailed and very neat because you're going to color it after this. This is the very last layer before we color it. And I'm just going to make this in the middle like that. And I'm going to give him a belt. So a belt will naturally go outside like that to suggest volume. Belt buckle here maybe. And I'm going to suggest that this is actually some material he's wearing, so I'm just going to add just a tiny bit of like that, keeping Now I said that he's going to be wearing cargo pants. What I like to do is I would add, because cargo pants are usually a bit baggy, so I'm going to add a bit more volume. So still following that cylinder underneath. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to suggest that there is a crease here, like that, because that's where the knee is going to be. And then usually fabric will pull down the leg like that because they're too long, and they'll just doing that would suggest volume. Feet are actually looking a bit too small now, so I'm going to add a bit more shape to it. At the moment it's looking like he's wearing heels, so I don't really like that. It's not really what I want to do. It's not difficult to fix. It's wearing a Converse type shoe. Okay, that's looking a bit better, I think. So I'm alternating between my brush and my eraser to fix this, and that's something that you will do as well quite a bit, I think. Yep, so it's not clean, but at this point I just want to get this down before I make the final changes. So imagine that, okay, so that means I can start making the crease down here, just like that. Missing finger there. So you can see here we've got a basic male cargo jeans thing going on with the vest. So you make that. Alright, and again, if you find the proportions a bit off, don't worry, because we can fix it later on. But now, to finish all those 3 steps that we've done, I'm going to mirror them one by one to the other side. So if you still remember how to do that, we can do it together. So go to basic gesture. Let's unsee all this so we can see what we're doing, and turn this opacity to 100%. So remember that we need to get the marquee tool going, which is M in Photoshop. Control copy, which is Control C, and Control V. So you copy it, and then you go to edit, and then transform, flip horizontal. And then choose the move tool at the top to move it across, so you get that. So that part is done. Then you can unselect it so we don't have to see it. Now we go to volume, which is very, very faint right now, so let's just drop it to 100. Okay, so do the same step again, rectangular, marquee tool, Control C, Control V, and then edit, transform, flip horizontal, move tool, drag it there. Yep, just like that. Hide it again, and finally we have our line work, which is the most important one, so we want to do this right. Rectangular marquee tool, select the whole thing, make sure that, yep, Control C, Control V, and then edit, transform, flip horizontal. Grab this, move to the other side, and you will see that you have, now first time it might look really ridiculous, like I look at this and his legs are really huge, his hands are too long. It's fine, it's very common to have that. It's not a big deal, and you can fix it individually later on. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So right now we have this in 2 different layers, layer 3 and line work. We're going to merge these 2 together by pressing Shift, selecting these 2, and you press Control E. So now they're all in layer 3, which we will rename line work. Okay, so once you have that, now we can really adjust the size. So what I'm going to do again, this is the same technique. So I'm going to make this bigger because I don't like the way his torso is too narrow. It seems very narrow and he looks really awkward standing like that. I'm going to select that, and instead of, transform, I'm just going to click Control T for transform. And this will allow me to adjust or to make it wider as much as I want. Okay, and so now he's a bit on the thick side actually, so I don't want that. But that looks alright, I think. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. And then just click enter. Make sure you click enter because otherwise it won't do anything. And then you deselect. And then suddenly you have lines that probably shouldn't be there. So it's very simple. They're all in one layer. You can just erase it. And then make new lines. For example, something like that. Now it's looking a bit better, but now I think his hand is actually a bit too long and too big. So again, I'll use rectangular marquee tool. And if I want to choose them both, I'll just simply press Shift, okay, and Control T, and we can adjust them together. So this way, maybe, oh, no, not that. You want to make it smaller. No, actually, that one was better. So again, this is also a play on your judgment, on your own taste, on your own eye for proportion. Enter, pretty happy with that, and then deselect to get rid of the end line. So do you get what I mean by this final adjustment? It's very handy, it's very useful, and you can still go over it with your lines if you see some are not aligned properly. But you can quickly create a symmetrical model very fast. Oh, I haven't added the hair. Hair is quite simple. Going for a slightly anime hair here. Seems to be the trend right now. I think it still looks a bit girly to me, but hey, I think you get the idea. So your job is not finished when you get here, but you need to keep refining and adding things, making it look proportional and correct. Just gonna add a bit of... Okay, so that is that step.